Hi, this is Fred Hadley, and we're standing right near the South Gate exit of Century Village Boulevard in beautiful, normally sunny Boca Raton, but not today, of course. Today is June the 4th. We're now 4 days into what is supposed to be a very active hurricane season, and the rain is just lightly drizzling right now, but there has been a backup of water, and right now they've got the Southgate exit has been blocked off. There's the chief of maintenance operations, Dan Cruz, in his SUV heading into the village, and they did have a car, it's still there, a security car, blocking people from exiting on Century Village Boulevard, and I suspect he's going to tell them that the situation has been cleared. So the problem was one of the drains here was backed up, and they were able to use ordinary, I guess, garden tools to eliminate the flooding situation. And as you can see, we got a little whirlpool there, and the water is starting to recede, and I guess they're going to open up the Southgate exit. It's now 1:23 on June 4th, and so far so good. I don't think there's been too many problems in the village. The lake has crested its banks, but that's part of the normal flood control design factor of the village. The lake being, of course, the first line of defense against structural flooding. When the lake overflows, then the lawns and the roads and the sidewalks flood. But that's no cause for alarm. As Lake Worth Drainage will tell you, that's part of the normal defense system. You could call it the second line of defense, would be the roadways, the lawns, and so on. But the important thing is to keep the drains clear so that the water can recede. And that's exactly what the maintenance department of Century Village Boca Raton has just done. And I think they're going to open up this road now. As I look down in the distance there, we see, yes, they are moving the security vehicle out of the way. And once again, the traffic will be flowing. And again, in the foreground, you can see what was a blocked drain. And as you can see, they're removing all the sludge and leaves, and there goes the security car. And here comes a line of traffic. So it's good that our maintenance department is on the case. And I see these guys are wearing boots. I'm wearing my my clogs. So I'm tired of changing my socks every 20 minutes doing this job. And there doesn't appear to be much of rain right now. It's actually stopped, and it almost looks like the sun is trying to break through. I guess it's right overhead now. It's just about solar noon, 1:25 p.m. on June 4th. And you can see evidence of what they call secondary defense system flooding, lawns, and so on. And I think over here we have a good-sized puddle. Take a look at that. And you can see this sidewalk is pretty much underwater over here. And because I'm wearing my hurricane clogs here, we'll just walk through, get an idea how deep it is. Not very deep. And you see it running off here behind these hedges. Clubhouse Drive is high and dry. This is a well-crowned road, so the water tends not to build up. And that's about it for now. So we are near the Century Village Clubhouse, as you can see in the distance. And we're just going to show you, this is where apparently the lawn right behind Ainsley I guess it would be Ainsley D for David. And the ducks are treating this lawn almost as a small lake, and you can see the lake is right behind them. And got some minor flooding of the lawn here. Schlep through here. And the ducks are wondering what the heck I'm doing over here, but just doing my job, duckies. Of course, there's a new family over there. Looks like some youngsters. Of course, Mama is herding them away from us, and now they enter the water, figuring I'm not stupid enough to go after them. And talk about having all your ducks lined up in a row. They certainly are. So, as you can see, Lake Windermere has actually crested its banks. We're behind Ainsley D. And as you can see where I'm stepping now, this is supposed to be dry land, and my feet are now underwater. But this is no cause for alarm, folks. This is a normal part of flood control, that when the lake overflows and the lawns start to overflow and then the roadways start to fill up with water, this is all part of the grand design. The buildings, of course, are on higher ground than the sidewalks and roadways. So in the history of Century Village, I don't believe any structures have suffered any flooding. So the system seems to be working. Got a whole bunch of ducks over here that I guess they're just enjoying themselves, having a great time. Okay, we're now behind the clubhouse and alongside the tennis courts. There seems to be some minor flooding on the tennis courts, as can be expected. And it's now about 1:30 on Friday afternoon, on Saturday afternoon, June 4th. And we have actually the sun is actually almost out right now, and you can almost see some shadows forming on the ground. And the clubhouse, by the way, is open for business. Everything's normal. So if you're wondering whether or not you can go over to the clubhouse, to the gym, or the show tonight, or the dance, it appears to be okay. But of course, I don't know if the hurricane / tropical storm / whatever you want to call it is fully past us. So the situation could change. But as of now, everything seems to be operating normal. We just checked with the security guard. Said clubhouse is open for business. So everything's open now, right? Okay, thank you, sir. All right, so there's confirmation. Clubhouse is doing business. Some minor flooding around the clubhouse. Okay, we're going to pick this up. We're now alongside Congregation Torah Or, brand new building, or I should say brand new improvement to the existing building. And it seems like it's nice and dry here. And as you can see, the sun is out. You can see shadows in front of the Congregation Torah Or. And it's actually starting to feel like a normal hot and muggy sunny day in Boca. And we're going to go past our second temple, which is Beth Shalom. And everything seems to be pretty intact over here. So other than some minor ponding and flooding and clogged drains, the village seems to have held up pretty well. It's about 1:40 now on Saturday, June 4th. We're standing in what used to be the shore of Lake Windermere, which is now submerged, and we are behind Wolverton C, the building that has the huge gaping gash in the rear of the building. So as you can see, Lake Windermere has definitely crested its banks, but that's okay, because as I walk out of here, we're going uphill, and there doesn't seem to be any threat to the structure from the overflowing man-made lake. It's about 12 feet deep. The dirt from that lake that was removed is what the buildings sit on, so they're on fairly high ground. And we're now approaching the what they call the money shot in this whole situation, which is the back of Wolverton C, where the plastic amazingly is still intact, on at least one side. And we're just going to come in, see if we can see any signs of further water ingress, and things seem to be about the same as yesterday. Of course, this was not a windy storm. They had talked about 40 to 50 mile an hour winds, but I didn't hear any winds, and right now the winds are just I would say under 10 miles an hour or so. But as you can see, as we move in a little closer, this gaping hole, now the wind has just blown the plastic away so we can get a good shot. You can see what looks like aluminum studs, and over here they're practically missing, gone completely because of erosion, rust, corrosion. I'm not a structural engineer, but to the naked eye it seems pretty unsightly, to say the least, and possibly dangerous to the inhabitants of this building. And this has been going on for months. We don't know what the position is of the Wolverton Board of Directors. We did reach out to President Fred Liska yesterday through email, direct messaging, and voicemail. We didn't bother with smoke signals, but you know, he just doesn't want to talk to us. So hopefully he knows what he's doing here. But from the looks of the back of Wolverton C, I would say the situation is not well under control. We're going to zoom in a little bit, so you can see like an aluminum stud. I think it's aluminum anyway, up there. But when you get down here, it's practically gone. It's just corroded away. And there's the big picture. So again, we're at Wolverton C, which is the most dramatic example of now, as you can see, these are cable TV wires, and they come from the backyard pedestal, which is over here. They go underground for maybe 6 feet, and on the ground here you can see the duct tape. I don't know why anybody thought you could duct tape onto stucco and expect it to last, but that's what we're looking at, folks. And something needs to be done. I don't know who's supposed to be doing it. I don't know what our cable liaison genius Stanley Siegel is doing about it, but he seems to think there's just a few isolated cases inside the unit and doesn't seem to want to accept the fact that there are serious external problems that need to be addressed. You can see what looks to be black mold on the slab, the end of the slab. They sometimes call that the eyebrow of the building. And see, the wind is blowing now. Maybe get another shot. Anyway, that's the situation, folks. If you read the Village Century, you know that I've been in touch with the local investigative reporter, and the only reason why he hasn't covered the story so far is that he was giving Comcast a chance to respond. Well, he sent that out on Wednesday, and the copy of the email was in the Village Century. He asked at this time not to disclose his name or the TV station for whom he works, but I know the guy. I've done a couple of stories with him, and he's doing the right thing, but they're not responding. Now, somebody gave me this morning the email address of the CEO of Comcast, and we forwarded him a copy of the Village Century along with links to the 2 videos, and perhaps he'll be able to apply a little pressure onto the local or regional executives here, because they just don't seem to be doing anything. It seems to be a blame game between insurance companies, the Wolverton Association Board of Directors, the Cable TV Liaison Committee. Cobrua certainly has some involvement in it because they control that committee. And we just wonder when this situation is going to be improved. It's not a very pretty picture, folks. Again, this is Fred Hadley reporting behind Wolverton C. And you can see that there's tremendous corrosion of the structural members of the building. The stucco is missing completely here. And these are the 4 cable lines that come from the ground and provide internet and television service to this line of apartments here that you see. Well, that's it. We'll sign off for now from Wolverton C, and we're going to continue our tour in a few moments. We have a break in the weather. It's about 1:56 p.m. on Saturday, June the 4th, and the sun is actually making very brief appearances now, and don't know if the worst has passed us yet. The way these things work is it could start raining again, and who knows. But the winds are very light, as you can see from the trees. I would estimate right now they're between 5 and 10 mile an hour winds. All through the night, I didn't hear any wind. It was a very quiet storm, and we thank goodness for that. And if this is the way the hurricane season got off to a fairly early start, I'd say we're going to be in for a very active season here. So I think we're still in, if I'm not mistaken, a sales tax holiday. So you can stock up on batteries, lanterns, bottled water, things that can be construed as hurricane supplies without paying any sales tax. Fred Hadley again, reporting for the Village Sentry. It's now 2:04, and don't worry, this is not destruction caused by the wind, but this is the beginning of the demolition, I guess, of the outdoor pool shower house over at Preston Association. There are only 2 associations that have not been improved. This is one of them, and my Cornwall Association is the other. You can see there's a toilet bowl there and lots of broken up, looks like vitreous, whatever they call it. And I'm gonna go around and take a look and see what's going on. We hear some machinery. I don't think they're cutting the grass today. So as you look over here through the fence, you can see that they've removed the ventilation panel from that door. And as we come around the side of the Preston satellite pool, one of 16, you can see that the demolition work is proceeding. So once again, this is the Preston satellite pool on the north side of Century Village, and you can see the windows are removed, and you can see through the windows. Zoom in. I don't know if you can really see too much going on. So apparently the sun is out now. It's a little after 2 p.m. on Saturday, June 4th, day 4 of the 2022 hurricane season. You can see a good chunk of that wall has been removed, and they're working hard, fixing up the shower house. So there you see it. Preston Pool will be closed beginning Wednesday, June 1st for renovation. Signed, SunWest Community. Well, good to see that the work is proceeding. Okay, we're going to head over now to the water control structure on the east side of Lake Windermere. See what's happening with the draining of the water. Okay, we're now standing next to the flood control structure of Lake Windermere. To my right would be Lincoln Association, and to my left is height association. And as you can see, the skies are definitely brightening, and this is perhaps just a lull in the storm system. So the noise you're hearing now is the flood control structure, sometimes called a riser. I forgot the word now. But anyway, it's a semicircular corrugated steel half pipe, and there are wood boards, or supposed to be wood boards, that are placed in there, and that allows them to control the level of the lake. The higher you pile the boards, the higher the lake can rise. And if you want to drain the lake, which can only be done with the written permission of the Lake Worth Drainage District, then you remove those boards. We're going to lean over a little bit. You can see that the water is receding from Lake Windermere, and it goes through a pipe, and I'm standing on a concrete abutment which would normally not be underwater at this point. But as you can see, my feet are a good, I would say, almost 1 foot below sea level, lake level, and this water will keep flowing by gravity into a large conduit. There is a second structure similar to this between Heights Association and Century Village Boulevard. And now we're going to show you where the water goes when it goes through that structure. So on pretty high and dry ground now. You can see there's some evidence of ponding or pooling of water. And beneath me is a large diameter pipe. And you can see through this grate and hear the sound of the water flowing out of Lake Windermere and into this pipe. Now, where does this pipe go to? Well, let's follow it. We're crossing now the bicycle path. In front of me, you could see the noise abatement wall of Florida's Turnpike. And this would be East Village Drive, one of the perimeter roads of Century Village. So here is another access point, another grate. And you can see the water is doing its thing, flowing downhill. And this will now go, and there's a third grate over here. And again, we're on East Village Drive. And you can see nature is taking its course and gravity is doing its thing. And the water is leaving Lake Windermere, going through the final pipe. And behind these hedges is about a 70-foot buffer zone. And then you have the turnpike wall. But before that is the canal. It's the E2W canal. It runs north and south. And all of these canals are under the jurisdiction of Lake Worth Drainage. People say, well, what does Lake Worth have to do with it? This is Boca Raton. But you have to understand that this whole canal system, which was devised in the early part of the 20th century by dairy farmers, because all of this was really swampland and not really fit for farming or human habitation. So what they've done is they built this canal system where every half mile you have a canal, and they all feed into a much larger canal, and ultimately the water is discharged into the ocean. And so everything is administered by Lake Worth Drainage, and you're not allowed to do any releases of water unless they give the word, because if the canal level is higher than your level and you open up the riser control structure, you could actually have reverse flow where the canal water, which could be filthy and contain lots of debris and pathogens, would actually now go back into your lake, and you don't want that. So everything has to be done with the coordination of Lake Worth Drainage. So off in the background you can see the Royal Ponciana trees. They're actually in full bloom now. They usually peak around Memorial Day And by Independence Day, all of those beautiful orange-red Royal Poinsettia flowers or leaves, whatever they're called, will be history. So if you're a snowbird and you're watching this from up north, enjoy the view, because when you come back, it'll just be plain ordinary trees. To the right are our lovely Spanish moss trees, and thank goodness they are okay. I'd hate to lose those. They're perhaps the most beautiful trees in the village besides the Royal Poinsettia. So there you have it. We have the water control structure off in the background there, lowering Lake Windermere through gravity, and then that passes through this grate and finally passes under that grate and into the canal. This is Fred Hadley, and we're reporting for the Village Century on East Village Lane in beautiful, sunny Boca Raton at Century Village, a over 55 active adult community with 5,712 hopefully dry inhabitants. And if you like these videos, leave us a comment below. If you have any questions, we do check the comments on a regular basis. Okay, signing off for now. Fred Hadley, Village Century. Thank you for watching.